It is Sunday morning, July 13th, here at the West End Gun Club, out here again at the Rimfire Range, just after 6. Came out here to shoot this thing. So, I don't know, it's not really close up on camera, but if you can tell what this is my 1022, but you can notice it's in a different stock or chassis. This is the Victor Company RPG. So in my last range vlog, or one of the last two with my 1022 with the KRG Bravo, which is in the Jeep, someone pointed out that, I was, after all the stuff I was finicking with or messing with on my 1022, they mentioned the Victor Company RPG. I looked it up and I couldn't find anything on it on their website. And then I end up randomly discovering it through a link on Google because you can actually buy it, but they don't have a profile on it or like any product page. I looked at the RPG and said, hey, this looks pretty interesting. So I bought it. And I didn't really do too much research on it. Someone's recommendation said, hey, check this out. And I looked at it a little bit and I said, hey, this looks kind of cool. I know MDT announced their ACC and I asked them about the rear tang support and they said they have a custom rear tang. And I think that same person told me in a comment on YouTube, I think they have some weird way where they actually pin through the action for the recoil buffer, I think. And that's how they get that second point of contact there. And I was like, that sounds interesting, but we'll try out the Victor Company RPG because I thought this looks pretty cool from a company that not many people talk about. Victor Company's been out for a few years now. They make quite a few niche products. They have some Accuracy International stuff and a lot of stuff for 1022s. And so, I said, let's just try this one out. So I got it in this past week, slapped it together, came across an issue, but we'll talk about that after I start shooting this thing. It's basically a two-piece design though. So you get this Forend plus the actual chassis itself. It attaches together the Forend and the main body of the chassis with 6 screws, so it's pretty locked in. You torque those things in, I think, to like 20 inch-pounds. It ain't moving, so it's pretty rock solid. Believe it's billet aluminum of some sort, 6061. Have no idea. I didn't really. I'll check the website, but that's all you get. It supports a typical AR-15 style stock and grip, so you just get like a carbine style stock, and this is the MDT SCS, or the skeletonized carbine stock. And I just used an A2 grip that I had because I got a bunch of A2 grips in my parts kits. I know it's not fancy, but it works, and I don't know. I didn't feel like dumping any more money on a vertical grip right now, so we'll see how this shoots before I even invest more into it. The Forend though supports the MDT internal weights, so I have 2 internal weights here. It needs more, but I'm probably going to put external M-LOK weights instead for just the front end, not add more weights, because I have 2 weights here and like the furthest forward on the Forend, but if I add more weights here, I feel like I'm just adding weights that don't have as much effect as having more weight at the very end of the Forend as opposed to like mid Forend. So I'll probably add an M-LOK weight here and maybe another one here. We'll see. I ordered a pair from Sawtooth Rifles because they have one that's stackable, so I'm going to try those out. That's kind of the roundup here, but basically the same 1022 that I previously shot, just in a totally different chassis. Same kid receiver, rear tang, kid trigger, full quartz and barrel. And then topped off one of my spare Zecos, spare Zeco, which isn't really being used on one of my other guns. So let's go ahead and start shooting. I already got target set up, chronos turned on, and let's just get some groups up. And I'm probably going to have to readjust the zero stop and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. What I didn't get when I ordered this stock is a bag rider. So it does have this segment here, which, it'll ride the bag, but they actually sell this piece that goes into this semi-looking M-LOK slot. It's an M-LOK slot. Yeah, it's an M-LOK slot. And it'll just secure in there. I might actually have a bag rider. I'm going to have to check, but that'll fit this. But I don't have a bag rider installed, so it's not 100% perfect, but we'll see. And run here, and safety's off, bolts closed. First round is high, about 2/10. 2/10. 2/10, 2/10. All right. There it goes. Oh, and it dropped. That's not bad. One flyer out of that 5. What are we pushing this morning? 11:05 average. In case people were wondering why I put my microphone on my hat like this now, and I've noticed other people in videos have been doing this, is because for me, it makes sure that my levels stay the same, because whenever I put my microphone on my shirt or on my badge holder here, and then I angle my head down, my levels change, and sometimes when I'm speaking the same inflection voice, it peaks on video and it spikes really high as far as volume and blows out the levels. So if I keep it on my hat, it's going to be the same way no matter where I turn my head. So that's why I do it. That's why I've been doing it. I don't know why other people do it, but that's why I do it. In any case, what I do want to mention is some issues I came across with this specific chassis. So I think this main one main issue, and that's the fit of the chassis or the rifle in the chassis. So it actually did not fit. And when I say it didn't fit, it was the rear tang. So the rear tang installed in the right on the receiver wouldn't screw into the stock. Once I set the barreled action into the chassis, I couldn't get the rear tang to screw in because it wasn't lined up. And the reason it wasn't lined up is because the receiver wasn't sitting far back enough. So it was too far forward. And the screw hole in this section here for the rear tang was off. I was slightly rearward by maybe a millimeter, maybe less than that. So either they drilled it too far back, or the inlet was too far, wasn't relieved enough. So I thought about putting shims between the rear tang and the receiver so that it would stretch the rear tang farther away from the receiver, and I can get to the hole. But if you've seen how the rear tang is keyed into the receiver, it's not really going to work very well. I would have to custom fab something, and I couldn't do that. And so what I ended up doing is putting a round, sandpaper on one of those, bits that you get off a Dremel. I just put on a slow drill, and I just kind of went down here and just started relieving the rear corners here inside the inlet so that the receiver could move further back. And it took quite a bit because I was going really slow. But I finally got it just enough, and I probably could relieve a little bit more on the bottom end of the lower section to do this, but I finally got it locked in. I didn't take photos of it, but I took quite a bit out of there to get that to sit right. So that was kind of disappointing that it wasn't fit. It didn't fit. And so I thought maybe the Cerakote had something to do, because this is Cerakote. Had I been paying attention, they sell anodized and Cerakote versions. The anodized is actually cheaper, which I probably would have just went that route. The Cerakote is like $50 more, but I got the Cerakote version. And so I think the Cerakoting might have affected some of the fit here, because Cerakote, depending on who does it and how much, how well they do it, it could add thickness to the dimensions of this chassis and in the way it's cut. It's a known fact that Cerakote adds thickness. I mean, they do it right, it'll be very minimal, but with these tolerances, it matters. So I think that might have factored into play here, but I did have to remove metal. So at least I think I'm remove metal. And so that's what I needed to do to get this thing to fit with the rear tang. After that, I will say my only other issue is the fact that I think the grip screw that you'll use for an AR-15 grip will likely be too long. They should have included their own grip screw. They didn't. And so I had to cut that down. That's one annoying thing. There's a thumb shelf, which they include, which I think I have in my pocket. But the problem is I didn't put it in because I think the screw was too long. And so when I try to torque it down more, I stripped the head. And thank God I was able to get that screw out. But it's a 10/32 screw, and I need to get I'm going to go to Ace or somewhere to just get one more smaller one and just put that in there. And preferably, I don't know if I can find one. Maybe I'll get one from McMaster car with the Torx that uses Torx drive, so I don't strip it out. But I'll put this thumb shelf on here. And right now, that's the only other thing I can mention. So I will say that the Arca, it does have an Arca dovetail right now, and well, it has an Arca dovetail, and it's a little bit tight with a non-adjustable RRS, really right stuff, clamp. So I believe the Cerakote there had something to do with that because it closes, but it's very tight, and it's tighter than you want it to be. I mean, it's pretty good, but I think that Cerakoting did add to that variance to create that thickness there. So just another issue there. With all that said, those are the kind of the main issues. I think the fitment issue is probably the one that's going to detract the most for people. That if you have a kid with a rear tang, it's gonna be an annoyance. But if you don't, then it'll fit fine because they have enough leeway on the front action screw. It's like it's not a perfect circle; it's an oval, so you have front and back variances that allows you to set the receiver however it needs to be. So. In the grand scheme of things, I might eventually have to take this back out because it's going to be a pain to get it back in because it's very tight to get it back to the line up the rear tang hole. But I'm probably going to relieve a little bit more and then bed it because it does sit just a hair to the right. Like I can see the barrel a little bit to the right inside the forend. Whether or not the forend's true, I don't know, but it sits a little bit to the right. I mean, it's for the OCD people that'll matter, but I think to me this is not a big deal. But I think for some people, they're gonna just look at it. They're gonna constantly know it's there and like, oh man, then it's gonna bug them. So I'll just mention that. I'm gonna try some of the Norma TAC 22. I think I have 2 or 3 bricks of this stuff, and I also brought a box of their Match 22 from Norma, which I think I have 2 bricks as well. As far as the TAC 22 and the Match 22 from Norma, I shot it in the Voodoo. It shot mediocre. I mean, it was good. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't it wasn't great. It was good. So I never continued to buy any, and I just kept it around. I mean, I had kept it in my stockpile of ammo. But we'll see how it shoots in 10/22 because I don't think I ever shot it in this gun. Feels a lot slower. Yeah, whoa, 10/10. Interesting. 10/30, 10/40. Wow, average is 1028.4. Pretty slow stuff. What are they rated at? I never looked. 1083. Huh, interesting. I shot 3 10-round strings of the TAC 22, which didn't go well. Now I'm going to try a few strings of match 22, but I'll show you the targets after I shoot these strings. I don't remember the TAC 22 shooting that poorly in the Voodoo, but we'll see how the match 22 fares. The TAC 22 is shooting at about 10 to 30 feet per second. Oh, what the heck? How come that's a slow flyer there? Well, that opened up quickly. Okay. It was shooting good, then it wasn't. Let's go ahead and talk about this target. Everything above this line is old, so we start on 16 here. This is with the Ely semi-auto bench rest precision ammo, 5 rounds, adjusted 5 rounds, not bad. 10-round string, 10-round string, 10-round string, and you can see it's okay with a flyer here, flyer here. I don't want to call it flyers, but you've got anomalous shots just breaking the group, widening up the group here. So this is pretty decent. Then we shot TAC 22, which shot okay, and then it really opened up. Then it opened up again, up and down stringing. Then I shot match 22. Then I shot this great 10-round string with match 22, and then I shot this with match 22, and it opened up, and this one opened up. So the SDs on the TAC 22 was in the 13s or 14s, and this was SD about 13 as well. So I don't think that's going to be that great. SDs for the Ely semi-automatic bench rest precision is around 8 or 9, which is acceptable to me for especially close range. And then so this right here is the match 22, but I shot 20 more rounds with Ely semi-automatic bench rest precision just to make sure everything's okay. 5 rounds, 5 rounds, 5 rounds, 5 rounds, and you can see that this was decent. This one's good, and I had this low shot, and this one's okay. So in the grand scheme of things, we're going to stick with semi-automatic bench rest precision. And I know a lot of people keep telling me, hey, you got to try a new barrel. Just get a kid barrel. The 4 quarts and probably isn't shooting well, and that's probably the case. But right now, I'm just like, I don't feel like spending more money. I keep dumping more money in this 1022, and it's just like, you're trying to chase the dream of accuracy in it. But I think we'll just live with it. And for semi-automatic division, because semi-auto now has its own division in NRL 22, so I don't have to compete in open with this gun if I were to shoot this. But I don't know, maybe eventually in a couple months I'll get another few months or several months I'll get a kid barrel and then take the time to try to take this barrel out, because it's put in pretty tight. So maybe we'll get a kid barrel. We'll see. Maybe I should have got a kid barrel to begin with. Nah, probably. Anyway, we'll wrap up some things here at the range, and then we'll probably close out this vlog. But here's a target for you all to see. Wanted to take a moment to talk about this piece of kit that I acquired recently. It's been out for a few years now. It's called the PT Scout from Really Right Stuff. It's this unit right here. It's a pan tilt head that interfaces between your existing head and your optic. Arca rail on the bottom, Arca clamp up top, and it sits in between your existing head and your bino, spotting scope, or whatever. You're gonna ask, why would you even want this device? So the main reason is for glassing. And well, if you already have a head, why would you need this thing in order to glass. And I will show you the prime example. This is the Anvil 30, very popular head for precision rifle shooting. It's great for shooting with a rifle, but it sucks when you're trying to glass off of it. And the reason why is because you have a single lever here, right? And that controls all aspects of the movement. There is no pan capabilities, and there's also no tension lock. So once it's kind of locked, it's really locked. You can sort of try to cheat it and like half close it, and you have this sort of mild tension to it, but it's not consistent because it's not what it was designed for. It's a little jittery. It's not very smooth compared to a ball head, where you also have 2 points of at least the really right stuff. You have 2 tension knobs, so you have a fine control and a gross adjustment control, and you can really fine tune that one to get some smooth movements. Here it's kind of smooth, but it's not very good. But in any case, if you're trying to glass and you're just kind of with your Anvil 30, you're just kind of flopping around here trying to get the lever adjusted and then releasing it, and it's not ideal. In a lot of cases it can be very difficult to use because it's not very smooth. And so, I mean, you don't have much control and you're jumping around. It's jittery trying to move from point to point, and it's not very good to control. It's in it as you pan or you try to look across, and if I'm trying to just pan with it, it's have this up and down movement as well because I can't really control that portion of it, right? Because it's fully released in its 360 movement, relatively speaking, not 360, but you get the drift. It moves in all directions. So if you have an Anvil 30, it sucks for glassing, great to shoot off of. So most of the time you're glassing, you're not shooting. So this is where the PT Scout comes into play. So I'm going to go ahead and just lock it into a neutral point here. So what you do, get your PT Scout, get it on the, it has R lock, so I'm just going to get it in there. Then once you have this device in here, put your binos on top or your optic. Now you lock that into place. Instead of moving the Anvil 30 now, I can use the pan tilt. Let me get this in a neutral spot here. It's a little bit more neutral. There it goes. So if we're going to try to glass now, I have 2 controls here. I have this one controls the up and down as far as this handle here. And this controls the horizontal. So I have vertical control and horizontal control. So if I want to lock that in, I can just pan. So what I can do is, if I'm going to glass this mountainside over here, or hillside, I'll go ahead and lock the vertical, and now I have this horizontal that I'm going to keep, and I can just smoothly control the optic here, and I'm not messing around with this one large lever. I have this nice smooth control to just keep it into a specific plane. And if so, I just can adjust it now. Sorry, one there. If I need to move it up or down, I'll go and lock that into place. And now I can smooth it out right there. And if I were going to just go ahead and do the vertical plane, I can just go ahead and lock my pan in and then go up and down. And it's easy to control this. It's very smooth, great for glassing. So that's kind of why I got it. And I am debating whether or not I'm going to switch to this for NRL Hunter as far as the Anvil 30. Either get an Anvil 30 for my TVC 22i compact or run this tripod. I have reasons why I want to run this tripod again for NRL Hunter, even though it's got all the segments and it's hard. It takes longer to deploy in most situations than a TVC 22i or TVC 22i compact. But I don't know. I'm debating. So I'm going to practice with both, mainly deployment. I don't have to fire the gun or anything. It's mainly just an exercise of getting the tripod out, deploying it, and getting to a situation where I can glass, either standing or high kneeling or kneeling or whatever. So we'll see. But in any case, if I do decide to use the Anvil 30 for NRL Hunter, I'm going to run the PT Scout. However, I'm likely going to run the PT Scout anyway on top of my ball head, which I do have for NRL Hunter. I just think that even with a ball head, it's just much more comfortable to glass with a pan tilt head. And what I can do is you can still shoot off your tripod if you need to quickly, because all I need to do is, if I'm done glassing for NRL Hunter, I get my targets. All I got to do is just take the PT Scout off of the tripod, and I can just put this on the ground or something, and that's it. And I'm ready to shoot. So we'll see. I just think this is a nice piece of kit for anyone that has an Anvil 30. And in general, if you just want a glass, this is a good quick way without having to swap to a pan tilt head, right? Because they do sell separate pan tilt heads that fit on top of your tripod. And, you either take your head off and put a pan tilt head on, or you run two tripods. I think this is a quick way to adapt pan tilt capabilities onto any existing ball head or ball style head without having to get a brand new head. Granted, the PT Scout's like, I think it's $300 if you get a clamp on it. Without the clamp, it's pretty cheap. So if you want to find pretty cheap, it's a lot less expensive because the clamps alone, like this clamp is SCLR. I think it's SCLR. That runs for $130 or so. So you can save yourself a little bit of money if you just run an existing clamp, or you get a cheaper clamp to run with this pan tilt head. So got options there, but I just want to show this off for people wondering what this was if they saw it on my Instagram. I packed up my gear, about to roll out of here, but we're going to go ahead and quickly summarize this Victor Company RPG on the 1022. This is a two-piece chassis. As I mentioned earlier, you got your main chassis, then the Forend section. Fits together, locks in pretty solid as far as the Forend and the main chassis. Uses AR-15 carbine style stocks. So you use a buffer tube with stock, or you just get something that fits in that same buffer tube thread. This is the MDT SCS. Then it uses standard AR-15 style grips. Although if you use a Magpul, I think with the beaver tail, it ain't gonna fit. So it's just something that's exactly like the AR-15 interface right here with no extra crap up here. But I just use an A2 grip because I have plenty of those at home in my parts kit. Uses the MTT style interior weight, so it's compatible with that. Has M-lock slots inside, arc around the bottom. As far as what I mentioned earlier, it does have a fitment issue, at least for me. When I do a review on this thing, or at least a breakdown of this chassis stock, I will mention that. Again, if you have a rear tang, a kid with a rear tang, it may or may not fit, and you may have to relieve inside the inlet in order for it to set back far enough so you can actually thread that hole through the rear tang. So as far as it changing how it shoots, the accuracy is about the same as with the KRG Bravo, which I have right here. Shoots about the same, or shoots the same rather, as far as accuracy. However, what it does for me is I think it gives me a better overall shooting platform than the KRG Bravo. I think the KRG Bravo has a lot of limitations. The balancing issue with this is pretty poor. You really can't do much here. And while I appreciate the feel of this, I think for PRS or NRL style shooting, it does not, NRL 22 style shooting, it doesn't seem to have that same, I don't know, it doesn't have the ergonomics that I'm looking for in a stock or a chassis system. So it's kind of what I was looking for, something else. I mean, I had this for a couple years already, and it's fine for what it is, but I think there are better options. So that's why we're here. And I'm gonna probably try this in a couple matches before I write a real review on it, because I do want to get a feel for it on how it shoots in actual. What I want to shoot this gun for is NRL 22. I do need to get some weights for it because it doesn't balance perfectly well as where I want it. It is still back heavy. I don't want to add interior. I have two interior weights. I don't want to add a third one here, simply because I don't think it's going to have any real effect as adding an M-lock weight here and maybe here. So adding more weight to the furthest tip of the forend is the best way to go. Adding another interior weight here might just be wasted weight. It's going to add weight, but it won't really help with the balance. I want to get more balance here. I need to figure out what fits on top of this though, because this does have threaded holes here. So I don't know if it allows you to add some sort of top plate, like a handguard, type MDT style, the bridges. If it supports bridges, I might add one here to add some weight. Or I might customize something, actually, see if I can add some weights here on the top, just make my own bridge out of some heavy metals. But that's kind of it. So not sure what else to say here. I am going to probably sell this stock. I do have this 1022 Action, which I'm not doing anything with, but I guess I'll just throw that in the safe. But I'm going to just go ahead and sell the stock for somebody who can use it. It's already configured for quick length of pull adjustments with the KRG length of pull add-on, and then I do have the Arca rail already put on there for somebody who wants to buy this thing. But it's starting to get loud here. I don't know what that guy's doing over there because I don't think they're shooting a match, to be honest. He's just randomly shooting rounds on steel. But anyway, our next match is in 2 weeks, July 27th. If you're interested and you're in the area, come on out. There is a match in Southern California, a PRS regional, an actual centerfire PRS regional. I did sign up for it, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty heavily attended match. We're like 60 people. I think they said 8 stages. 60 people, I think. 50 or 60, like, because we already have 6 squads almost filled up, 10 people apiece. So I'm honestly not feeling like going if it's going to be a crowded match because I just didn't want to go to like a huge match. And my intent for going was just to try out my NRL Hunter rig in their sportsman division. I just want to get some trigger time with my NRL Hunter rig outside of NRL Hunter because I just want to get some rounds downrange on it with Gino shooting beyond 300 yards outside of just a casual range session. So that's kind of why I wanted to go. I don't know. I'm debating on just dropping out, but maybe I'll go. I do need to load some extra rounds, so I only have about 95 rounds. It said 8 stages, so maybe I don't need that. Maybe I'll just load an extra 10 or 20 rounds just for zeroing. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to get and pack up and get out of here. Today is July 13th, Sunday here at the West End Gun Club. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vlog.